Welcome to this explainer. Look, if you're tuning in, you're probably someone who pushes themselves pretty hard every single day. But I've got a hard truth for you. You are almost certainly operating at half capacity right now. What you might just write off as a simple lack of focus, or maybe feeling like you don't have enough willpower, is actually something much more mechanical. You are experiencing the biological equivalent of thermal throttling. Just like a high-end computer that literally slows down its cognitive clock speeds because of neglected system maintenance, your brain is bogging down under the weight of its own operation. So let's dive into this and see exactly how to debug and fix it.
We're doing a complete technical teardown of human optimization today. Here is our agenda. First, the invisible system drag. Then, the biological cleansing protocol. After that, the Circadian Operating System. And we'll wrap up with the 15-minute recovery protocol.
All right, Chapter 1, the invisible system drag. Before we can upgrade anything, we have to deal with the relentless buildup of metabolic debris in your system. So, is your system thermal throttling? You know that wall you hit right around 2 p.m.? The one where your focus just completely shatters by mid-afternoon? We love to blame that on a lack of motivation, but honestly, it is an objective hardware issue. Your brain is quite literally bogged down by chemical byproducts that limit its processing speed. Meet the primary culprit, a molecule called adenosine. You can think of adenosine as chemical system bloat. For every single hour your human machine is online and awake, adenosine is relentlessly accumulating in your brain and body. And as that level rises, it creates this incredibly powerful sleep drive, a biological hunger for rest that forces your system to power down. And here is the trap most of us fall into. We try to solve this system bloat with caffeine, but caffeine is a false fix. It acts as an adenosine antagonist. What that actually means is caffeine essentially parks itself in the adenosine receptor slot, kind of like a car taking up a parking space. It blocks the sleepy signal, so yeah, you feel alert for a bit. But, and this is absolutely crucial, the adenosine doesn't go away. It just keeps building up in the background. So when that caffeine finally wears off and vacates the parking spot, boom. The massive backlog of adenosine crashes into the receptors all at once, causing that severe afternoon energy cliff.
Which brings us right to Chapter 2, the biological cleansing protocol. Because caffeine clearly won't cut it, your system requires a mandatory offline maintenance cycle, actual, high-quality sleep. Now, to successfully initiate this deep sleep sequence, your body actually has very strict thermal requirements. Your brain and body temperature must drop by roughly 1 to 2 degrees Celsius. This isn't just a suggestion, it's a quantifiable rule of your biology. This is exactly why it's always way easier to fall asleep in a room that's slightly too cold rather than too hot. That cool environment is literally taking your hardware in the right temperature direction to trigger the sleep sequence.
What if your hardware still struggles to power down? Well, there are a few chemical patch notes backed by peer-reviewed science that can help. Magnesium threonate can increase neurotransmitters like GABA to help promote sleepiness. Then there's theanine, usually around 100 to 200 milligrams, which is great for helping turn off a racing mind. And apigenin, which is a chamomile derivative, taken at 50 milligrams, strongly promotes sleep. But hey, you absolutely have to read the system warnings here. Apigenin is a potent estrogen inhibitor, so women, and honestly even men, really need to be mindful of that side effect before applying this patch.
Moving on to Chapter 3, the Circadian Operating System. Your sleep doesn't just happen randomly. It's strictly scheduled by a master internal clock sitting right above the roof of your mouth, called the suprachiasmatic nucleus.
This master clock runs a super strict 24-hour hardware sync. The whole thing starts the absolute second you wake up with a pulse of cortisol and epinephrine. That is your morning wakefulness signal. But here is the secret. That morning cortisol pulse simultaneously hits start on a countdown timer. Exactly 12 to 14 hours later, your pineal gland will release melatonin, which is your sleepiness signal. Getting this rhythm synced up perfectly is the true key to enterprise-level health and focus.
So how exactly do we sync it? Well, low solar angle sunlight is the sync chord. You have these specific retinal ganglion cells in your eyes that are constantly scanning for a very specific contrast of yellows and blues. And that contrast only occurs when the sun is low in the sky. Your eye doesn't actually know what time it is, it just reads that light data to update your internal clock. Because of that, you have to follow the strict command line rules of the sunlight sync protocol. You need to actually step outside and view morning sunlight for 2 to 10 minutes shortly after waking. And no, do not wear sunglasses for this step. You also want to catch the late afternoon or sunset light to signal to your brain that the day is ending. Now, if you're someone who wakes up way before the sun rises, don't worry. Artificial sunlight simulators or even bright screens are perfectly fine to use until the real sun finally comes up.
And listen, if you think you can just look out your car or office window to run this update, think again. As Stanford's Dr. Jamie Zeitzer points out, it is 50 times less effective to view this sunlight through a window. The optics of the glass literally filter out the exact photons your eyes need. You have to physically step outside to trigger this critical system update.
Now there is a kind of diabolical feature to your retina that we need to talk about. The longer you've been awake, the more sensitive it becomes to light. This makes the window between 11 p.m. and 4 a.m. an absolute danger zone. Because your eyes are so hypersensitive late at night, even just a dim screen can totally disrupt your entire operating system.
Here are the exact mechanics of that late-night light crash. When bright artificial light hits your sensitive retina in the middle of the night, it fires off a signal that activates a brain structure called the habula. Get this, neuroscientists literally call the habula the disappointment nucleus. When you activate it, it suppresses your dopamine release, which effectively destroys your focus, your mood, and your learning capacity for the entire following day, just from looking at a screen.
Finally, Chapter 4, the 15-minute recovery protocol. Because sometimes, despite our best efforts, you still run out of processing power during the day and need an emergency refresh.
Look, you simply cannot control the mind with the mind. If your brain is racing, trying to think your way into relaxation is practically impossible. You need a manual override, and that is where NSDR comes in, or non-sleep deep rest. Also known as Yoga Nidra, this is a passive listening script that uses physical body scans and controlled breathing to manually force your nervous system to hit the brakes and shift into a parasympathetic, incredibly calm state.
Even just a 10 to 30-minute NSDR session provides concrete, measurable system reboot benefits. A really fascinating study out of Denmark actually showed that this practice physically resets dopamine in a brain area called the striatum, which is the area responsible for motor planning and deliberate execution. It rapidly restores your sharp focus during the day, and as a bonus, it trains your hardware to transition into sleep much faster when night falls.
So, to wrap up this explainer, I really want to leave you with a massive perspective shift. Sleep is not some soft wellness luxury, and it's certainly not a sign of weakness. It is a non-negotiable technical requirement for high-end enterprise machine maintenance. Without that sunlight sink, without the temperature drop, and without clearing out all that adenosine bloat, your machine is never going to run at its rated speed.
So, I'll leave you with this one question. Now that you have the literal blueprint to your biological hardware, are you going to continue to let your system thermal throttle, dragging through every afternoon at half capacity? Or is it time to finally step outside, get that morning sunlight, and run a proper biological update tonight? The choice of how well your hardware performs tomorrow is entirely up to you.